What you describe is, at some point, through some practice, through some learning, through some experiences, we start seeing this ego game and see how this has totally created a certain reality around us. And then we no longer so much feel interested in that drama, in that comedy, or whichever it is, whichever is the flavor of it. It comes in different flavors. We are not so much interested, but still we feel the need to also be involved with life and with other people. But that becomes a little hard because the usual chit-chat that we have with people no longer so much works for us. I think that more or less describes what you are saying. But it is a phase. The more that all these things, the more that your ego becomes thin. It's still there, but it's no longer so much very attached to things. It is still attached, but not so tensely. It's more in a relaxed way. You know what you like, you know what you don't like, so you live, and these things still matter, but they don't matter so much anymore. You can live, without this or that, or with this or that. So the more and more that personality construct has less fixed ideas and a lot of tension around it, the more you become flexible, the more, in a way, you lose that individuality to some degree. Then comes the point where you can very easily actually engage with just about anybody, because there's not so much you anymore to defend. So that's why I say this is a phase, and the phase that comes after that is the phase where you no longer feel so much also the need to, let's say, oppose your own ego constructs, to let go of those things to which before you were quite tensely attached, because you already have done that in detached attachment, let's say, and relationship-wise with other people, that also means, yes, we can be very much engaged with others, because, okay, whatever games they are playing, we do not feel from ourselves the need to attack it. That need to attack the ego or constructs of others is only a reflection of our need to attack our own ego constructs. But if we are more relaxed about our own ego constructs, then also that need to attack the others' ego constructs is not so much there. So it is a phase, and it will pass, and you will become much more open-minded to everybody's stories, and you'll not be tricked by it. You will not be so much taking them seriously. You'll maybe be more amused by it, but you'll still also respect it, because that is where they are, and that is what they think is important. And as long as this is not happening in any way which is unacceptable, of course, then why not? So it is at that point where I felt that um, to have relationships at work with just about anybody, and those people usually, they were not at all interested in what I was interested in, and they were quite normal, people, but very easily I could talk with them about whatever it was that made them tick, no? With one it was maybe soccer, and with the next one it was politics, and with the next one it was something else. No problem. So then when, of course, it comes to a more deep relationship, I think that was also partly in your question, to really connect with the person more deeply in a love relationship. We've actually also had quite a discussion about that before you came here. But the main thing there is that you better choose somebody who is a little bit of similar interests, no? Who is spiritually also inclined. It will be more easy. No? And if that is the case, then that person may also not feel so much, let's say, disrespected if you are not so much going into their story or their ego constructs. We also there should never forget that the ego is something natural. And when in yoga philosophy we talk about destroying the ego, that does not mean that to live we do not need an ego. In my book Love Your Ego, I describe it as destroying the ego until it rises from the ashes like a phoenix and becomes, that divine form of the ego, which is very much what it wants to be, which is very much what it is as an individual, but without being in any way attached to it. So then, if we have a love relationship with somebody who's also spiritually inclined, we can help each other there and be interested in those ego constructs of the other, because the other is also interested in not taking them too seriously, while still letting them exist, while still understanding them as part of the expression of who we also are as individuals. And if your partner is a musician or a spiritual teacher or whatever, a carpenter, then you can say, oh, this is all just actually an ego construct. No, this is life and beautiful. If it can be done without too much attachment, without too much tension, without too much drama. So don't worry. And if you approach another person in that way in which you are who you are and you accept the other to be who he is, and you show an interest in who they are and what makes them tick, then you can make friends with anybody, and maybe you will experience that relationship very differently than the other person. Maybe you will experience their stories very different than they themselves are experiencing it. But that does not matter. You can still love them for whoever they are and wherever they are, and not feel in any way that, let's say, their limited way of thinking is a problem. The only reason why you will feel that their limited thinking is a problem is because you still are fighting with your own limited thinking. Believe me, I see you are looking like, not sure. Believe me, been there, done that, they say. No? Been there in that state that you now describe, like unable to connect to anybody, unable to like even be able to stand anybody. But that was because I wasn't able to stand myself. No?
Right.
The people who become very much missionaries in spiritual things, they are the ones who are actually still the most struggling with it themselves. And to convince themselves, they want to convince others.